Whenever I encounter someone who experienced cancel culture, I make a point to ask them what caused their cancellation in the first place. I do this because not only do I think this information is invaluable to understanding the practice, but I also enjoy making a competition over who was canceled for the most ridiculous reasons. So for today's case study, we'll be discussing the recent incident involving Nicki Minaj and how swollen testicles got her canceled. I wish I was kidding. Our story starts on September 13th when the award-winning rapper tweeted this out. My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent. His testicles became swollen, his friend was weeks away from getting married, now the girl called off the wedding, so just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision and not bullied. Earlier that day, she also mentioned that she wouldn't be attending the Met Gala because of their vaccination requirements, or more specifically, that if Nicki were to get the vaccine, it wouldn't be just because she wanted to attend the event. Shortly after these tweets started circulating, journalists including Joy Reid from MSNBC wasted no time condemning Nicki for using her platform of 22 million followers to encourage the Black community not to protect themselves. Interestingly enough, Joy neglected to mention the other COVID-related tweets that Nicki posted, to which there were many. And from a news perspective, that looks an awful lot like the journalists were attempting to build the narrative that Nicki was guilty of actual wrongdoing. This is the exact way in which cancel culture preys on innocent people. If the mob is able to spread their lies quicker than the truth, then the lie simply becomes the truth. Now, since Nicki isn't a stranger to public clapbacks, she wasted no time challenging the onslaught of fake news, to which I am grateful because it makes my job a whole lot easier. So first, let's look at how the media warped Nicki's comments to frame her as an anti-vaxxer or a science denier. Let me just say that this is typical for a lot of media overlords when they create clickbait, knowing that the majority of folks won't bother to read the entire article, let alone do their own research. From USA Today, Nicki Minaj says she refused to get vaccinated for the Met Gala, followed by a headline from Yahoo News that reads, Nicki Minaj says she's skipping the Met Gala over its vaccine requirement. Incorrect. She said if she were to get vaccinated, it wouldn't be just because she wanted to attend the gala. Those are two entirely different narratives. Here's another one. From the Daily Beast it reads, Nicki Minaj won't get vaxxed, says she's worried about swollen testicles. Incorrect! What she said was that her cousin wouldn't get vaccinated because his friend reported adverse reactions to it. I'd also argue that suppressing the voices of those who've had adverse effects is dangerous in itself because it's building a false narrative that these vaccines are 100% safe, and we know that's not entirely true because everyone's different. And if we consider how Joy Reid publicly shamed Nicki on national television for what she claimed was encouraging the community to not get vaccinated, again, false. The tweet that Joy was referencing was where Nicki shared the unfortunate alleged side effect of the vaccine, but urged people to only get vaccinated if they were comfortable with it and not because they were bullied. I'm sure you can see the irony in this exchange because there really wasn't any point for Joy to even speak on this topic. Nicki clearly didn't encourage people to not get vaccinated, so why is Joy interpreting it as such? This is a rhetorical question, by the way, because as someone who makes content for a living, I'm frequently criticized by members of the Black community for using my platform to promote things that don't fall in line with their collective. I'll hear things like, you should be using your platform for this, or you have an obligation to use your platform for this. No? Actually, I don't. Now, obviously, I can't speak for Nicki, but when I chose my career path, I specifically did it so I wouldn't have to answer to anyone. I wanted to be my own boss, so unless my critics are signing my checks, I'm not obligated to do jack. And I know the go-to argument for this would be to suggest that having a big reach like Nicki's comes with the responsibility of not negatively influencing her audience. This is a farce because personal responsibility exists, and it is unreasonable to expect a celebrity to be responsible for what their fans do. Everyone has choices, and we should be encouraging each other to make the right choices for themselves. Additionally, if people are allowed to voice their support for vaccinations openly and without fear of backlash, then others should be equally allowed to voice their concerns in the same way that Joy did in September of last year. By the way, did vaccine effectiveness go up once Trump was replaced by Biden? How does that work? Scientifically speaking, of course. All in all, this was a clear manipulation tactic to scare Nicki out of voicing her opinions, but from what I can tell, she's not falling for any of it. Because just as this person said, national news organized to blatantly lie about her, which should be a huge red flag for those that trust the news wholeheartedly without doing their own research. The other thing that I wanted to share about this story was when Nicki flipped the script on some of the media outlets that were coming after her. There was this one person in particular that was very persistent in trying to make contact with Nicki's cousin, that even though all of the messages were ignored, the reporter thought that coercing the cousin would work instead. It didn't. She writes, "I know you are hesitant to speak with us, but just letting you know, CNN is in the country looking for you. And when they find you, they won't hesitate to reveal where you live or where your girlfriend lives, anything and anyone who is tied to you. If you speak to me, we won't reveal those details. So, what do you say?" Now, I'm gonna go out on a whim here and assume that Charlene is just oblivious on how to properly communicate, because it's unclear how an interview with The Guardian would prevent CNN from revealing personal information. That said, this didn't stop Nicki from publicizing the text along with Charlene's contact details. Now, many criticize her for doing this because it's the same as doxing, which is what we covered in a topic for an earlier video. Now, I'm not going to debate whether or not she was in the wrong for doing this, but it's a little silly for a reporter to complain about privacy when they make a living invading the privacy of others. All that aside, we need people like Nicki. People that voice their opinions and are calloused enough to take on the backlash for expressing those opinions. We need people who aren't afraid to ask uncomfortable questions and challenge those who are bigger and more powerful than us in pursuit of finding the truth. And most importantly, we need people in high places that understand the dangers that come with cancel culture, as I believe Nicki already does. I'm going to leave you with the final quote that came from a recent video that she uploaded to her Instagram. I'm just going to quote her because she's swearing like every 5 seconds. But pretty much she says, "You cannot speak in fear of being attacked by the mob. You should be able to ask questions about anything you're putting into your body. I remember going to China and they were telling us that you cannot speak out against people in power. Don't y'all see what's happening? Don't y'all see that we're living in that time?" Some really chilling stuff. But hopefully this will wake some people up. As always, my name is Gothix with Right Now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!